everyone, my name is Kara Mastretta and I'm a game designer on Dawn of War 3 and I'm joined by...
My name is Darren, I'm a dev tester on Dawn of War 3 and today you guys will be joining us for a speedrun of Mission 15 that I decided to do.
So how was it?
Well, I decided to take the custom beauty skin because I knew it would make me a little bit faster and a little bit more aggressive going through the mission.
In spirit, right?
In spirit, definitely in spirit. Everybody knows that things painted red go quite a bit faster.
Of course, I mean look at it.
So at the very start of the mission, I just kind of grab each one of my elites, assign them to control groups, and I start moving into the base to take it out. Mostly try to focus on using my kilocons to pick off vehicles, and as the clear centerpiece of the map, Beauty the Morkanaut is you have to keep her alive, and you have to use her to her maximum potential and keep her moving forward.
What would you say is the biggest challenge that players face in the first phase of this mission?
In the first phase of the mission, it's not too difficult. You're not going to run into too much trouble. I think it's more of a case, especially if you're trying to speedrun it, of clearing out as many vehicles and as many units as quickly as possible, so you can move on to the next phase. And also a good part would be to keep your elite HP high, because they're going to be the focus and the centerpieces of your army throughout the mission, and you want to keep them on high health. You want to keep them alive, and Beauty cannot die if you want to get through this mission quickly.
Yeah. And, well, I imagine that also a big part of it is to keep your base protected, right?
For the most part, the waves that come at your base tend to not be too bad. You just have to be aware that at some point your base is going to be attacked, and you should always keep that in mind and leave behind a few units just in case that happens.
Yeah.
The goal here is to finish the mission as quickly as possible, so the brunt of your force should be moving across the map and hitting from objective to objective.
Yeah. So you play orcs a lot, as I've witnessed in horrible multiplayer matches. What would you say is the biggest strength of the faction that you really took advantage of in this mission?
It's definitely scrapping. Gretchen's, better repas for Beauty the Morkanaut. Building stuff out of scrap and not having to return to your base or produce something from a building just makes you get through the mission a whole lot faster. You'll see me doing it a couple times throughout. I don't ever at any point want to take a step back, and I try to always be pushing through the mission.
Mm-hmm. So you heavily rely on Gretchen to move about with your army.
Yep. Absolutely. Beauty's the big focus of the mission. A key point is to keep her alive. I've said this before, I'll say it again. If she dies in this mission, you're not going to finish it in a very quick amount of time if you have to wait for her to respawn. Yeah. So, you know, taking care of Beauty is paramount, and that is very much the truth when you're playing orcs.
Yeah. Is she heavily countered in the mission?
It depends on which side you decide to go. Mm-hmm. I opt to go for Space Marines because I'm just better at killing their vehicles, and also the strategy that I'm going to go ahead and take is just much better for the Space Marine side. Mm-hmm. As you can tell inside of the mission, there's two directions I could go. I could go to the left to fight some Eldar, and I don't want to deal with that, so I'm going to go to the right and take out the Space Marine camp, because I'm going to start building kilocons in a moment, which you're going to see, and I'm going to be using their rockets to pick off vehicles to make Beauty's life easier.
Nice. What's can you tell people about the shield that you're using?
So this the shield I'm using is just more or less a projectile blocker. I'm using it A to protect Beauty from taking damage, but B, it creates zones of damage over time, but it also is a shot blocker as well. So you'll see soon there's going to be a lot of las cannon predators, and a big part of it is to use that shield to prevent them from zapping Beauty pretty much. Yeah,
because they could take her down pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
If she doesn't have any defense.
Yeah, she's not too tough when she's getting blasted by las cannons, that's for sure.
Yeah. So you seem to be moving into the Eldar portion?
No, moving over to where the Space Marines are.
Yeah.
In the back of my base, I built up my resource nodes and I covered them and protected them. I don't want to get backdoored. Here's when I'm crossing the bridge. I know I have to capture the beacon or I'll take severe losses, so Gorguts takes one for the team here, and I send him trekking across, and he goes and grabs that beacon for me.
He's pretty tanky, so he can put up with it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, he's the hero I needed at the time, so it really turned out to work.
Yeah.
Most of my focus, though, is on Beauty over here crossing the bridge, and I'm just trying to make sure she takes as little damage as possible.
Yeah. And what are you supporting here with? There I see so some boys with upgrades.
I start off with a few basic units. They're not going to last all that long. I'm reinforcing them wherever I can with Beauty because of her aura. You can reinforce units that are nearby Beauty. And for now, they're going to tie up a couple Devastator squads and things like that, but they will not last long. The focus of it is getting these Kilocons out, getting them scrap, and moving them over to the front line where I can use them to harass and pick off different units that Beauty needs me to kill.
Yeah. It's still nice that you can have her with the rest of your line units and backing them up, supporting them, because especially trying to do a speed run, you want to keep your forces alive for as long as possible.
Yes, absolutely.
So.
No, she's a spectacular elite, and you really have to lean on her to get this mission done as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So as you can tell here, like I mentioned before, the las cannons do a hefty amount of damage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get Beauty to barf out constant amounts of Gretchens to keep her repaired. It may not look too good right now, but I guarantee you those Gretchens will have a few more friends in a few minutes.
Yeah. Oh, they're coming.
Yep. Here comes the Kilocons. I'm going to use them to pick off these tanks that are giving her trouble. And she's taken quite a bit of damage, gotten down to about half health. But here I'm getting some of these Kilocons to melee because they do in fact do true damage. So if you, well, it didn't turn out too well for that one, but they do true damage, and you can use them to melee vehicles and squads, and they will shred them if they can survive long enough.
Yeah. That's something that's so key, especially when you're doing speedrun and multiplayer. In the game in general, it's so important to be aware of damage types. Basically, what are the strengths of your army, what engagements you're choosing to take on. And when you're trying to achieve something like a speedrun within a certain amount of time, etc., it's so important to make sure that you're maximizing your unit's capabilities, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely good to know your unit's strengths and weaknesses, and even now, I'm using the Kilocons in a pretty peculiar way. I don't think a lot of people send them up to fist fight things. They're not typically the best at it, but I'm just trying to use whatever resources I can. As quickly as I can. And obviously there's Gretchen streaming out now, and I'm going to start using Beauty's scrap ability to create more Gretchens.
Nice.
So my objective at this point is to push down into this base. There's quite a few vehicles down there, so I'm being a little bit careful, but I also know I'm on the clock, so without giving Beauty very much time to rep, I'm going to be heading down there any moment now.
Nice. What was the time that you were aiming to achieve?
I was hoping to get this done in about under 20 minutes, hopefully. So we'll see. Well, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, most missions are pretty hard to do in that short amount of time.
Yeah, it's challenging. I've spent a lot of time just watching people play the campaign on Twitch, and some missions are, especially the first time that you're playing them, are especially challenging. So
especially sometimes taxing, especially long. We decided to pick a mission that is all about forward progress and not too many defensive beats. Because we really wanted to see how much of that pace we could push and how quickly we could try to get across these missions. And defensive beats aren't exactly the most exciting part of a speedrun.
Yeah. So what are you up against next?
Down below, there's a few vehicles, a few assault marines. Here I sent Gorguts down fruitlessly to get into a little bit of a fist fight. I probably shouldn't have sent him there because he's about to die.
Yeah.
But I gave Beauty about enough time to repair. She's about a little under half health, so I can kind of move her in, clear this base out, and luckily for me, Gorguts' timely death will actually come in handy soon.
Yeah. How come?
I'm going to run into some issues back at my base, and it'll be real nice that Gorguts is dead.
Nice. Yeah, and you have a pretty strong army of Gretchen there, keeping Beauty at bay.
yeah. I'm just trying to keep Beauty
alive.
up and Beauty strong, and here I start using the scrap mechanic. I just want to, don't want to go back to my base. I want to be very cost efficient. So I'm using all these wrecks that I'm creating from killing the Space Marine vehicles.
Those are pretty big wrecks as well.
Yeah, the tank wrecks are tier 3 scrap, so they're big enough to actually make def dreads, but I'm sticking with the Kilocons. I know I'm going to need the Kilocons. Killing vehicles is a big part of finishing this mission quickly.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of clearing out the base now. I put Beauty into melee stance for a little bit more of a cinematic effect. I'm just letting her whack away now at it.
Yeah. Is this the first resource points that you're able to build on?
You start on
Yeah.
the base with 2.
Oh, right, yeah.
And if you look at the mini-map, I've just ran into that problem I was talking about earlier. But I will luckily clear out this base pretty fast, and at some point right now, I'll realize that I'm actually under attack.
Yikes. So those are a bunch of Eldar attacking your base.
Yep, that's the Elder camp coming back to bite me in the ass.
Yep.
Luckily I had a few tank busters back here, and as you can tell, the Gorgut's timer is counting down, and he will save my life in a few seconds here.
Nice.
But
Pretty lucky.
Yeah, I didn't want to focus too much on what was happening down here, so very soon, yeah, I'll move right back to Beauty, and I'll continue to push forward.
Yeah. And look at her, back at full health.
Yeah, well, she's garnered herself a lot of friends there,
Yeah.
so they're quite eagerly repairing her at this point.
Very necessary workers.
Yes. The most
Yeah.
necessary, most important orcs.
Yeah. Would you say that in multiplayer matches you generally have a hard time keeping Beauty alive despite her survivability?
It depends on where you put them. I always notice people like to send their larger units up front, or move them into danger.
Yeah, like right in the middle of the battle.
There's an assumed invulnerability to them, but it's very, very false to think of them as unstoppable tanks. Beauty is especially good because you can use her to support from the back line. Creating shields for your units and for your team is actually very beneficial.
Yeah.
They're worth a whole lot more to you alive than dead, and I think that's pretty obvious, but
yeah, but I mean, that's something that we see all the time. Is just like watching a multiplayer game where in the middle of like a very large combat, somebody drops in Solaria.
yeah.
And she's not like, she's gonna do lots, but she's not gonna do enough as she's countered,
Yeah,
right? And
Gatling guns aren't the best weapons for melee, so yeah, I've seen that a few times in multiplayer too. People like the dynamic entry of Solaria, and
yeah,
I
she
will
makes an
admit,
entrance for sure.
it looks very cool, but it's not the best place for her to be.
Yeah, it's definitely very important to understand, and this is why it's important to sort of, before going into a match, reading on the elite that you're bringing in, watching their
Yep.
videos, etc., to really figure out like what's their best placing, what's their best timing,
Yep.
what can you most take advantage of them.
Yeah, the community's done a great job of finding those strategies, and
Absolutely.
in some cases abusing them to some point, but also really showing us what people can do with the tools that we've kind of put out there for people to play around with.
Yeah.
I know I've had a lot of Storm Boys chucked at me in the past couple weeks.
Oh yeah. We've definitely suffered through those ones.
So I've got all my kilocons repairing here now. I'm trying to let them stock up on missiles. There's going to be a couple big targets I have to take out, and I've slapped together a dreadnought to bring with me as well. I'm building a couple forward buildings here too, just in case I need somewhere to build units, reinforce units, or just heal my elites. But again, my focus isn't to slow down or stop at any point. I'm just trying to keep pushing through the map. Yeah, without really slowing my momentum down.
Trying to go as fast as possible.
Yep, at this point the base really is in no danger, so I've brought my whole army up, and now I just have to deal with this constant spam of draw pods that I'm dealing with right now.
But I imagine that in the future they'll be kind of enabling you, right, with scrap?
Yeah, they did give me a lot of gifts. It does come in handy. Beauty ends up eating a little bit of it, makes some Gretchens, but the really big part of this whole strategy at this point is to keep the kilocons alive, because those rockets are going to become more and more invaluable to finishing this mission. So in the moment, I'll get my 2 targets to pop down, and then I can make my final push to try to cap off the mission here.
Nice.
Attempt to pick off a few units from outside of the fight, and then I should be moving in any second now.
Yeah.
Also scrapping up whatever units I can get, because I'm planning on trying to finish the mission as soon as I start moving forward here.
So you kept your army pretty pretty tight, right? Like you don't have too many units. I mean, there's obviously a lot of Gretchen, but in general, I see that you have very focused use, very strategic use of like kilocans, of like very strong focus on beauty.
Yep. Well, it's like once I have too many resources, I don't generate enough, so I have to be very sparing with what I build and what I use. Pretty much once something dies, I can almost guarantee I won't be able to protect it.
Yeah, exactly.
And or rebuild it, sorry. So yeah, I'm being very sparse with the units I have, because I realize what I have here is the end of it. This is pretty much all I have left. This is what I have to finish the mission with.
Yeah.
And I could take the time to, mass up some big tracks or, make a few more def dreads, but I don't want to do that. I want to finish this mission. I want to finish it now.
Yeah. And I think this really goes to show to how far you can take an army if you're doing focused use of their strengths, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always about just not putting your important units in danger, using your bigger units to soak up damage, and especially Beauty is a wonderful target. Everybody wants to shoot her, everybody wants to try to kill her, so kind of keeping her in the fray, keeping her at the front, but moving her back and also using your other units to keep her alive and defend her, a big part of getting a lot out of this big elite.
Yeah. So what are you going to do against that Imperial Knight over there?
Oh, I'm going to shoot a bunch of rockets at it, and I'm going to also lit the, luckily the Eldar gives me a bit of a hand here, because you can see the ranged Wraith Knight is taking pot shots at the Imperial Knight, as the Imperial Knight takes a couple shots at Beauty.
Yeah.
I don't think these tanks stop at any point.
Oh god.
I kind of make a mistake and break my own rule, and my Kilocons are going to pay the price very soon for my negligence.
Oh, really?
But
will we see it?
Alive.
Oh boy.
What I'm trying to do right now is kill both of the Knight units. I need to drop them as fast as possible. That will end the mission. So that's what I'm really trying to focus on. And you can see my Gretchens down there desperately repairing Beauty as they get chopped down by chainswords.
Very desperately.
Yeah, but luckily they can reinforce there too, so for every one they kill, 2 takes its place, so it kind of works out for me.
That's pretty good.
Here I lose pretty much all my Kilocons because I just kind of put them into the front. It's very sad.
Oh boy.
I dropped some rocks and the AI stole it from me. I would really want to get those back, but sneaky grots aren't the best thing to go get that rock back.
And that Imperial Knight is like...
Yeah, he's barely surviving.
Okay. Finally gone.
Yep, so that's 1 down, and I just got to get 1 more.
Yeah, you gotta handle that Wraith Knight.
Yeah, these units also didn't seem to stop coming, so I have to try to back up Beauty here. But I don't want to take the time to repair to full, and if you look at the bottom bar, the vast majority of my army is now dead.
Yeah.
So I just had to figure out a quick way to finish the mission with the limited resources I had.
So what's the strategy here?
Well, I noticed that I'm at 6 elite points, and I have that Def Dread that really hasn't had the chance to come out yet because I've taken so much time.
Yeah.
Or I've gone too fast. But at the very end here, the Def Dread's going to come really in handy and pretty much save my life.
Nice. And he's pretty close from being able to be deployed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it'll be a combination of all of my elites that just help me finish this mission at the very end.
Yeah.
I just got to deal with a little bit more of this Eldar, and then the Knight will come stalking over.
I thought you were going to go back with Beauty to heal her by the base.
I didn't want to at this point. I wanted to try to finish the mission.
Yeah.
I knew it would have cut it a bit close, but yeah, to wait at the base, and I didn't finish building that barracks either.
Yeah.
It would have taken way too much time, and it wasn't time I was willing to spend or give the community to catch up.
Yeah. Final standoff.
Yep, so I've kind of pretty much committed to trying to kill the ranged Wraith Knight at this point. Tried to stun. I don't want her to hose me down with those death beams, so I'm kind of moving her up and down, and I keep spitting out Gretchens to keep my HP up. But yeah, Beauty's the true hero here.
You chewed a lot through her shield.
Yep.
Through the Wraith Knight's shield initially.
And the Mad Dread and Gorguts come out at the perfect time here.
Both. Nice. So that's a pretty strong elite strike team.
Yeah. They come in at the perfect time.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have succeeded without it.
Yeah.
There's an Annihilator right below Beauty, like barely killing it. But I hunt down this Wraith Knight with my Mad Dread, and lucky enough for me, gets the job done despite the fact that I only have Gretchens left.
Nice.
On the entire bottom bar.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, a strong group of elites can make such a big difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for the missions. Keeping your elites alive, keeping them healed, and keeping them not dying will be paramount to getting the missions done as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So
And there you have it.
there you have it. So community, you just saw Darren kicks this mission's ass, and we'd like to see you guys do it. So what would be your challenge to them?
Well, not to do it too fast and not to wreck my record, but yeah, let's see. Taking on this mission on normal difficulty, that's M15 Orc, and I think we got it done in somewhere around 20 minutes. So let's see what you guys can do.